All right, I'm gonna go with this one. All right, final topic for the evening. Do and this is crazy. I saw Soldier Boy saying this, and I don't know if you've seen Soldier Boy lately,
Yes, we have. So what you about
I
to
have.
say?
but he looked like a fiend. He looks crazy. Matter
Yeah,
of
because
fact,
he is one.
huh?
He is one.
He is one, right?
It looks crazy.
But he made a fair point, I think. Well, I could be mistaken. I'm gonna ask the question: do relationships stifle your professional growth? So if you saw his rant, which what he probably high as a kite, he was saying he had to get out of his relationships because he always had these parameters put on him by his partner, or certain things he couldn't do. He had to make sure that she was okay, right? Maybe he wouldn't tour or be in the studio as much because she was a consideration. And he said without that, he's able to tour and grow, and he said he the first one to do everything and start his businesses. So I guess my question is, do relationships, can they, do they, will they potentially stifle your professional growth? And we'll start with Alex.
Um, I think it depends on the field that you're in. And I also think it depends on if you're a man or a woman. I feel like a lot of times women will put their careers on the back burner to support the dream of their partner and also to um, help out and raise the kids. I think in the realm of entertainment, though, it's not desirable, especially with the Soldier Boy. He has a job where he has, as a musical artist, he has a job where he has to be out and perform. I don't see how that, I understand how that can be difficult for someone. If I'm in a relationship with you and I want to spend time with you, but I can't because you're at the studio late at night, or you have to do all these shows and you have to play nice when it comes to these other females. So I do feel like, depending on the field that you are in, your relationship can be a hindrance to your professional career versus if you're a man and you're a politician. It looks good to have a woman on your arm. It looks good to have a partner on your arm. They're going to open that door, and it has a sense of relatability for other people to have. So I really think it just depends on the field of work that you're choosing to go in. But I stand by, when it comes to women, we don't have that. A lot of times we put our careers and wants and needs on hold to support our significant other.
Yeah. And I think your point kind of speaks to that when you say like the male politician. A lot of times, and we have outliers. Let me just, obviously Michelle is different, but usually, right? They're not, the wife isn't doing much. They have their appearances and such, but oftentimes she's there as a token, trophy, and to support. So, Caddy, what you think? Relationships stifle your professional growth?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can if you allow it. I do think it is contingent on profession sometimes, but it can also be dependent on your personality type. If you are, the type to kind of be absorbed by your relationship, then that can kind of steer you away from your career objectives. Um, or if you're still so career focused, but you're trying to entertain a relationship, something's got to give. So it's almost as if you really can't be driven so much in both areas because there's going to be a sacrifice somewhere. Um, so I mean, I think it really ultimately boils down to having balance and knowing what the expectations of your partner are, and knowing what your career aspirations are, and figuring out how to balance the two. It's a delicate dance, but it can be done.
So, Ash, I want to add a caveat before you go, right? Not a caveat, but
Mm-hmm.
a second question. Um, so, do relationships stifle your professional growth? And is it possible for two people to have professional aspirations in a relationship? Because oftentimes it does seem like it's one person and that one person needs support. I actually know a woman who quit her job to support her husband's business. And now
Mm-hmm.
obviously it helps both of them, right? But now she's working for all intents and purposes for him. So
That's Angela Bassett and Waiting to Exhale, honey. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Why
Okay.
don't do that?
I think it depends on, particularly, like, I'll say for me, right? I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm building a brand and all these things, right? So with me, it's a season for everything. It's a season where I need to be focused. and building what I'm building. And there's a season where I need to be, I can kind of play around dating people. Because especially with someone who's an entrepreneur and you date someone who's not, they kind of don't understand what that looks like. And that can kind of be a hindrance. Because, if you're not, you don't work a regular 9 to 5, your time is, if you're running a business, your time is still not free. You still have things you have to do. So you have to get someone who's in sync and who understands what you're doing first. And then you have to get to a point like someone said earlier, like if you're career driven and trying to get this business or this thing off the ground, you need to be focused on that. And sometimes you need to be laser focused and you can't really have any outside distractions. And sometimes relationships, because it's a lot of work that goes to relationships, right? A lot. So that if you're doing it right, it's a lot of work. So that's energy and focus I could be putting into my business. Now I gotta put it onto you because we together. So it just kind of depends. I think two people can be career oriented together. I tend to think so. Men don't tend to think so. From ones I've talked to, they kind of feel like it has to be like one or the other. I think it has to. I think though, in conversations I have with other people, when it comes to if the woman is just as career driven as the man, it becomes a conflict. Because typically men want women to be able to give, and we have to fall back on some of our dreams to support yours. Typically, men don't do that for us. Typically, they're going to pursue everything they're going to pursue, and they're going to be like, okay, well, you need to figure this out. I think depending on what the career is, I think it could be an issue because men are not as supportive in most cases. I don't feel like if you are a woman, you're a CEO of a company, or if you have something, men, they're not going to stop working so you can run this company. They just not most men. Some you have a few.
I drive my woman to work if she was a CEO.
You say that now until everybody knows that she's the one who brings in money and you don't. You say that now.
I don't care. I'll be at the basketball court hooping.
Yeah, you say that now. Male ego is very
fragile.
They're gonna be like, well, what do you do?
You say that until everybody's talking about Corey and how he won't make all the money and you want to have nothing without her. You say that now.
I don't care.
I've seen it happen on more than one occasion.
And I think it probably also plays a part too. Like if you get in a fight, she's gonna be like, "With your broke ass." Like if she's gonna bring that up,
that's where the problem.
You know what I mean? Like
right
that's where I think that's where it really comes down to. You probably would be okay with your woman making more, but if she comes home and then you're like playing a video game, like, "Hey, how was work today?" and she's like, "Look at you with your broke ass. You need to do something." That's when it probably starts tearing away at your self-esteem. But I think men could.
Why she got to treat me like that though?
It happens,
the real question.
Right? No, but I'm saying if a woman is okay with their man doing less and can still love him doing nothing or doing less than she does, then it works.
Yeah,
but I think that's where the conflict comes in.
Yeah, that's the conflict for sure. Because I think that your wife is your support person. I think that's your number one consult. But I think that men have the duty and responsibility to lead and provide for that house. But Corey, before I filibuster, what do you think?
For me, like in my personal experience, I've never had that problem. I got 24 hours in my day. I just feel like if you use it effectively, you can find enough time to do both. But I'm not an entrepreneur, so maybe that could be like I can see where that could be different. But I think for most people, I think it's enough time in the day to do both, man. And one shouldn't it shouldn't be like a hindrance if someone is trying to pursue more. Like it's not a problem for me.
So in the realm of celebrities, Tam, the first couple that comes to my mind is Beyonce and Jay-Z. Mm-hmm. Jay-Z is dynamic. He is amazing in his own lane. But I feel like him and Beyonce's relationship, Beyonce definitely leveled him up. Beyonce made him more appealing to Master Corey.
What?
Beyonce
hit the button on that.
likable.
We
It
upgrade
made
him.
him relatable.
Mhm.
Beyonce brought Jay-Z to another audience, because he's not just this rapper. He's not just appealing. Like, marriage and a unit and relationship, people like that. People like to see that. People like to see Jay-Z as a father. And it even goes back to, like I was saying, with the politicians. There's a difference though with Soldier Boy, when your relationship is being kept on the down low. He may have a little bit more support if he was coming out. Now you see a lot of entertainers, and they're displaying their love, for the world to see. I look at LeBron and his wife. LeBron is in his own lane in itself, but people love LeBron because he comes off as a family man, because he comes off as a loving husband in comparison to someone who was not. So relationships, depending on the field that you are in, I think for a man can be very helpful.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong, but I think the growth period, and it's different if she meets Hove. See, Hove was already part owner of the Brooklyn Nets, right? Before the babies were born and all that. So I think I understand using them. So I'm not gonna like just try to tear it apart. I catch your drift. But I think even that is a little bit of an outlier. I know for me, not being a celebrity, but being an entrepreneur, like when I'm DJing, like I don't do it as much, right? Like even regards to the kids, like I don't do it as much, right? You try to like come right home, you know what I mean? Just different things. When they saying can you DJ in Florida, shit like that, and I'm like, okay, what makes the most sense? Yada yada yada, you know what I mean? And then for women, right? Like I think everybody may have said it, but I just know I think Ashley said it last. Um, Women's careers do kind of stop. They do kind of halt, right? And she does become that support to her husband. Most often from my experience. So yeah, I think what you're saying is kind of you just like expounded on what you said earlier. But I think by and large, I think that they do stifle a little bit because you have to manage somebody else's expectations as well.
Hmm.
Ash, I remember a post you put up not too long ago. It said, I'm blogging and all that shit, right? I'm doing my thing, but all my counterparts to where I want to aspire to be are
Mhm.
single with no kids.
Correct.
Why?
Because I think it goes back to one when you're like a woman and then you are laser focused. So like you're laser focused, so you're kind of like not really focused on the kids and the and the husband at the moment because you're focused on getting this thing off the ground, this career, right? And then men from I talk to men all the time. So like once you get to a certain social economic status, um, you know, uh, men that are also in your social economic status, if you're a certain age, like 35 and up, ain't checking for you. Like they want someone who's younger. They want someone who's able to have kids. Or if you're like 37, 38, they kind of X you off because, oh, I want somebody who's 30. So they can have, I know that she can have babies. Not saying that you can't have babies at 37, but the chances of stuff being more difficult increases as we age. And then, men want younger is better. Younger coochie is better coochie to
That's a
men.
fact.
So like, so then you find yourself, so you find yourself, you work your career. It's like most women who are like let's look at Kamala, right? Kamala, she married that white man some years later after she already had her career established as this district attorney. Because it